Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now you guys see me go through 1,000 singles every week. And this week, of course, we're in week 2 of the 3-week search through the 3,000 singles that one particular service person dropped off at my bank. But what do I do with the notes afterwards? And I don't mean the after the hunt videos, I mean these, the ones that I'm returning. Well, I live in an area where there are I've got, what is it, 6 or 7 different branches in my city, and then I've got 3 more in the city just north of me. So in a 15-minute drive, I can hit 10 different banks. Then I can go a little bit further into Milwaukee, and now all of a sudden I have dozens and dozens. I can come up with roughly almost 40 different bank branches that I can go to. And that's not even counting if I go across the border into Illinois. So what I choose to do is I will take 2 straps and return them to each bank. That way I'm never flooding the bank with a bunch of singles that they now have to do something with. Usually having to call the reserve to pick them up and ship them out somewhere. More often than not, though, I will also ask them, hey, are you short singles? And sometimes banks may actually be short singles, so they'll take 500 of them. But I never force them to do that. And the main reason for that, aside from keeping on friendly terms with bankers, is that it gives me the perfect excuse to go to other banks. Because while I'm there, of course, people ask the question, what are you doing? And when I tell them what I do, well, now they're more likely to open up that drawer and see if they have anything, especially if you do it in friendly terms. So for me, just in the process of returning notes, I still have a chance to add to my collection. Now, if you only go to one bank to get your notes and only go to another bank to dump your notes, now that's only 2 options as far as finding things in circulation. However, I've got up to 40 different banks to go to, and by constantly circling the different banks and doing different schedules on my returns, not only do I get to check multiple banks for rare stuff, but I can also put one Where's George note in every single strap. They're in here somewhere. Just trying to flip through. I'm not going to find it, of course. But yeah, I put one Where's George note in every strap, and that way, yeah, that worked out good. I mean, that's the point. You don't want to stamp every single note Where's George, but they're in there. I'm not going to go through them just to show you. But yeah, by only handing 2 straps, it's very likely that they are going to end up using those rather than shipping them back off to the Fed. And that's what you want with Where's George notes. You want them circulating. All right, so that's kind of what I do with these. Let's get these out of the way and check out what I found. Remember, these are the second installment of the $3,000 stack that I got from my bank. Starting off, I don't think this guy was a stripper because I would have found a lot more of these, but we did find a stripper note. See how you can see through the note even though it's in a whole stack here? That means this note was covered in baby oil. And yeah, somebody probably left this as a tip because they got it in circulation and it's kind of icky. So if they didn't want to have it, they tended to get rid of it. That was that one there. Let's see. Found a trinary, so close to a radar, but we don't play that game. It's still just a trinary, still worthless. 0s, 2s, and 7s. 1s, 5s, and 9s on this one. 3s, 6s, and 8s. One away from a binary. 0s, 3s, and 5s. 1s, 2s, and 3s. Quad 6s with a 5th. Quad 7s. 2021 star note. Always check your stars to see if they're filled. The 2021 series, as far as I know, is going to be the last series that has stars. They're in the process of changing the way that notes are printed to no longer require them to be printed in order, which isn't true. The notes are still going to be printed in order. They just don't have to put in replacement notes to keep them in order. So there's no longer a need for stars. So 2021, here's another one. Once again, probably the last year you're going to see stars in circulation. 2017A star note, another 2017A, 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 and another in decent shape, and another. Lots of stars in this batch. 2017A, 2017. It's interesting to see all of these stars because, once again, this is stuff that was saved by one person just in his tips. And to see this many stars going through all of his customers' hands and nobody bothering to pay attention, it's just fascinating to me. Another 2017 star, another 2017, a 2013 star, 2013 star, 2009 star note, and the older notes. Here's a 2003A, kind of rough, 2003A, also rough, 2003, very rough, definitely going back, another 2003. Remember, I show you guys because out of 1,000 notes, this is how many I found. So if I show you 5 2003 notes, that's out of 2,000, or that's out of 1,000. Another 2003, 1999, pretty rough. 99, much better shape. Another 99, another 99. This one's pretty good too, probably a keeper. 1995, another 95, checking to see if it's a web note. Of course, it is not. 1995 with writing on it, so that's going back. And yep, there's definitely something in the sleeve. I found a true I found a binary, not a true binary, but a binary. It's 11177711. If those sevens were zeros, it would have been a true binary. And in fact, if that last 7 was a 1, it would have been a binary radar. But ifs and buts, it's still a binary, and you don't run across binaries too often. So I was excited to find this, just to add that to the collection. There's probably a little bit of value on binaries. They're relatively tough to come by, so I was all kinds of excited to see that. All right, so what did I pull out this week? Well, this week, I've had this note in the past. This is an 1862 $1 legal tender. It's graded. I know it's real. And to me, this particular note is undervalued, undergraded, but it doesn't matter. Because, this one here says repaired. The reason I pulled this note out is because I got this one. Let's check this out. It says contemporary counterfeit, and it's stamped counterfeit. And what's that stamp there? National Bank. So yeah, it clearly was caught as a counterfeit. Now, when we look at the note, let's even get some kind of writing here on the back. 64. That would be 1864, by the way, because this note was from 1862. So 2 years after the beginning, that's when this was signed and dubbed a counterfeit in 1864. How do I know it's a counterfeit? Aside from being stamped, who would stamp counterfeit on a real note? Let me take it out of here, and let's take a peek at this thing. I don't know where they got a hold of the paper. The paper is actually in really rough shape. You can see it's been torn. But as we look at it, there's supposed to be a lot of fine ink. Now, in the security measure right here, you can see the 1, the 2, and the 3. You can see these fine lines are pretty good. But when you start to get in some of the other fine lines, like all the fine lines that are in here, my camera's struggling to focus because there's nothing to focus on. I mean, you can kind of see on this side here some of the design features. And if you look on the top, it looks like most of these design features have just kind of chipped away. Now, the ultimate is the back, and I'm going to show you the real note side by side with this one. But look at these patterns on the back. They're just all mushed together. And that was the exact purpose of those patterns. It was such a fine pattern that it was very, very difficult to counterfeit. So when you saw something like this, It just all blended together. So let's look at this one. Let's look at this compared to this one here. If we look at the two, and I can zoom way in on this, and you can see all the detail in those swirls. And then we bring this one in, and there just aren't details. I mean, look at the center. You can see all of that. And on this, it's not the condition of the note that makes it that way. It's the actual print. Let's look at the top. On the top, you can see every single one looks the same. Every single one's identical. And if I can't zoom in any closer than that, but you can see the individual lines. Whereas when you go here, the centers are all flaked out, and you can't even tell what the design is because they just could not copy that type of design. When we look at the back, once again, look at the back. You can see the actual pattern. Look at the pattern on the two and the pattern here. And as we put this in here, there is no pattern. There is, but it's not very discernible at all. And same with here. This area here is just all blurred together. No chance at all of actually trying to see what the pattern is. Whereas on the actual note, graded 15, mind you, it is still crystal clear how that pattern is supposed to look. Now, as far as value goes, I have no idea. What I can do, I'll set this down for the time being. I'll bring out the big book. This is paper money of the United States. And here is the $2 legal tender from 1862. And you can see that the real note, even in VG8, starts off at 450 bucks. You can see here, 450, 475, 1,000, depending on which one you have here. So that's for the real note. As far as the counterfeit, contemporary counterfeit, no idea. It's whatever you're willing to spend on it. And generally, I'm not really willing to spend more than $100 on a counterfeit. But I thought this was neat because I have the actual note, and that's always a big selling point to me. I want to say I paid $110 for this one, so it was just slightly over my regular budget when it comes to counterfeits. But yeah, I was fascinated by it. I thought it was interesting. I definitely wanted to add this one to my collection. Just trying to get it back in there. It's not even to protect it because the note itself is pretty rough. So that's what I've got for you guys this week. An 1862 contemporary counterfeit $2 bill. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.